Welcome to the Brendan Burns Show. I'm Brendan Burns, and I interview and share the stories of high performers, happiness engineers, and people who have created the life that they deserve on their terms. I sit down with speakers, pro athletes, and entrepreneurs from all over the world who have chosen to live a life of fulfillment and joy instead of status or money. In each episode, we share actionable strategies that you can implement in your life, plus inspiration along the way. So come join me for this episode of The Brendan Burns Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Brendan Burns Show. Joining me today is one of my mastery Instagram students and former professional football player, John Bronson. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. So you were just telling me a little bit about your background, and I think the listeners would love to hear your full story. But you mentioned that you had your father was in the military, and that kind of you were bouncing around growing up.
Yeah, so my dad was in the military. I was born in Hawaii, and so I lived in Hawaii 4 years. He was in the Army, and then 4.5 years later, we moved to Germany. Which for me, I was in a German school. My sister was born in Germany. And then another 4 years later, by the time I'm 8, now we moved to Seattle. So before I'm even 8 years old, I'm already been in 2 countries. And then so we get to Seattle and been in many different places around Seattle. Washington's a very big city. So if you've never been to Washington, I mean, there's Seattle, there's Tacoma, but there's also the east part of Seattle. So it's a very big state. And so we bounced around Seattle for a lot. And so that's where I really got my start in number one, traveling, like yourself. You love to travel. I love to travel. And it really started from the time I was young, traveling everywhere, traveling with my parents on whatever it was, military or just different trips. And that's where I really fell in love with travel at a young age. Then from there, that's about the time where I started to get into football. I remember when I was about 9 years old or so. My uncle, who's no longer here, but he had put me into football. My parents didn't want me to play football. They thought I would get hurt, and I was, didn't want me to play, especially if I was going to play up, meaning play on a higher grade than I was at. And I never forget the first time I went out on the football field. I made like the first play. And then I made maybe a couple plays after that. And then I think, needless to say, after that they were like, okay, well, I guess he can play another few games, and few games turned into another year, and another year turned into overall 19 years of football. So
wow. And how old were you when these first games were?
Yeah, I was like 8 or 9 or something. I was super young.
Wow.
And, so with all of that, you never know how things would turn out. And if it wasn't for my uncle put me in football, who knows, what would have been with football career. But with that, I continued to excel with football, along with my younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 4, so I have a sister who's probably the best athlete in our family. She was a basketball and track athlete. Then I have a younger brother who also played football, played for Eastern Washington and Seattle Seahawks. And then I have another younger brother who's actually bigger than me, who's currently playing for the University of Washington. So we come from like long, extensive background of sports.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to what do you attribute that in terms of genetics versus family involvement versus mental state?
I think it's a combination. Obviously, genetics has a huge play. My dad's 6'8", near 290 or so. So, he's a very big stature. My mom is, from a very big-boned family, so to speak. So you add those combinations there genetically. But the other side too is that I think everybody was just, we had a heart. It just want and will, to press and be the best in the sports that we were at. And I obviously had to kick that off being the oldest kid, and then I hopefully the goal was to be a leader for them to follow, and help them to reach their goals, both academically and also in sports. So. One thing I am proud of is being able to hopefully to be a leader for my siblings. So
that's awesome, and I want to dive more into that. But let's just go back to, so you're 8 or 9 years old. Your uncle wants you to play ball. Your family is like not so sure, and then you come out and you crush it. First of all, what position were you lining up as?
At the time, I was defensive tackle, so they had me right next to the ball, basically. And so, all you have to do is tell me. I didn't even need to know what to do. Just go get the ball. Well, I mean, I'm going to do that. Go get the ball. So, yeah. So, but as I go older, I started to fill out a little more and go into other positions that were more skilled positions, like tight end. I've been playing tight end and defensive end, so being very mobile. But as a young kid, I was just trying to get in the game and get my feet wet. Didn't even know what I was really doing, at that young age.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun. That was kind of a big, important part. And, little did I know it would become a huge part of my life later on in life. But at that time, it was just a ton of fun.
That's awesome. So you're playing football, you're having fun, you're excelling. Now walk us through the progression of, I guess, middle school, high school football, college.
Yeah. So I guess before I go there, let me say this because it's really important, and
Yeah.
get on education along with sports, especially any young kids or kids that are listening. So when I was in middle school, I had I believe it was like 7th grade. I didn't do very well in school, and so it was a very hard lesson that my parents taught me. They yanked me from football. So I got yanked from football in the middle of the season of my 7th grade year. So you can imagine how much of an impact that had moving forward. So needless to say, after I got yanked for those last 4 or 5 games, I never wanted to experience it again moving forward. So I made sure my grades was in order to play football. So my parents were very adamant about getting good grades and being a scholar in the classroom. And so that was something that I also made a bigger importance at that early age.
Wow,
So,
what a great lesson. And so what do you think was causing you to not perform in school? Like, how did that experience change the way you thought about it?
I just think it was just focus. I was turning the corner of and a little complacency. Yes, you can have complacency at 7th, and as a 7th grader.
Sure.
So I just think I needed a little fire, and that was it. Pulling football, something that was so dear to me, away, hurt. If it was something less severe, it may not have been as impactful, but they pulled football from me, and I'm sure it hurt them too to not see me play. But it also for sure hurt me not to be on the field when there's games to be played and things like that. So I just think sometimes we all need a little push, and from somebody, whether it's a mentor. In that case, was my parents, and or whoever, friends or whoever. And at that early, I learned that lesson early to get your things in order that you need. In this case, it was my grades to continue to play football.
Mm-hmm.
So
what a great lesson. So you learned the lesson. You're like, all right, I'm a baller, but I got to do well in school too.
Absolutely.
And then take us through kind of the progression into middle school and high school and how that went.
So I went from middle school and played 3 years in middle school. So in Washington State, middle school is 3 years, and then you go to high school for 3 years. So finished out my middle school, which I know it's middle school, and then where things really got churning was in high school, and that's where the process really starts to begin for football. And my sophomore year, I was a starter in my sophomore year. on a high school football team, and that's where college just starts to come, and you start getting noticed, and um, more papers, more interviews. All these things start to happen when you're in high school. So definitely was a lot of pressure, number one, but also, um, it was different. Like before, I was playing football for fun. Now it's starting to turn into more of a career in high school, and I haven't even reached college yet, or anything like that. So, but once again, like dealing with high school and being on a team, uh, we struggle a lot. My high school team struggled a lot. So also trying to keep my team together, be a team leader. I even one point I had to was on the advisory board to hire the new coach. Think about that as a player on your high school team, being advisor, hiring the coach. So all these things, all these leadership qualities I was learning super early in high school to be an effective leader and make executive decisions for not only myself but also my friends, my teammates that were counting on me to help lead them as one of their captains. So
Yeah.
huge process in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm thinking you're like 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah,
You're starting, I'm assuming, on the varsity team,
varsity, yeah.
and you're helping hire the new coach, holding a bad team together.
No,
Also, if you screw up with grades, your parents could yank you from the team again.
correct.
And you have scouts coming from college thinking about NFL career.
All, as you said, all while keeping grades together and extracurricular, right? I still have to work. In high school, I worked at. I just went back to Washington too. It's kind of fun. I worked at. Remember Chuck E. Cheese?
Oh yeah, the arcade, the kids.
Yeah. So that was my high school claim to fame was working at Chuck E. Cheese, and so you know, adding that in the mix on working on weekends after football games at Chuck E. Cheese and the local McDonald's, just trying to pay for my cleats and shoes for for football season. So yes, a lot of responsibility, but all of that responsibility helped to mold me for what was to come next. And
Mhm.
so, again, little did I know that, but people around me really felt obviously that I can take a lot on and still be effective and take the next step. So then here comes college. As high school starts to wind down, I eventually uh, pick a school. It wasn't as black and white as may seem if you ever watched like the Varsity Blues or something like that. Like I committed to Washington State, Penn State first. Excuse me, I committed to Penn State first. Went through a whole recruiting process, did trips, went to Washington State, then came back to Penn State, and eventually went to Penn State for school. And got to Penn State.
What was it about Penn State that made you choose their program as opposed to Washington State?
It was different. So number one, it was on the East Coast. I think I liked that. I was already accustomed to being in Washington for a number of years, and I was ready for a change. Given my background of traveling a lot, I was used to being in a place that was far away, so I had no problem being on the East Coast, things like that. And once you get to Penn State, it's just different. The culture's different. It's a college town. Everything revolves around football. You can take that how you like, but that's what it is. And you felt like this welcome, and but with that, it was a little bit of like an edge about Penn State, and just from the culture, from the football team, and obviously they were winning, and they were like the number one or number two team of the nation at the time that I was getting recruited, so that also helped as well.
But when you had that going on, did you say to them like, "Look, I know you guys are top 2 in the nation. Like, what's my playing time opportunity here?" Because I'm sure if you go to a school that's still great but not one in the nation, maybe you could be the team captain or something like that.
Absolutely, that was a huge gamble.
Yeah.
They had LeVar Arrington, Courtney Brown, that were 1 and 2 draft picks that year, and also the top players in college football that were on Penn State. And so with a slew of others that were waiting in the wings. And so I think for me, what it was you do a little bit of homework, do a little bit of research, understand what it is. At least that was the process going in. And then you just have to go balls out and just give it your best effort, show up every play, believe that you can be better, do better than the next man. And that's what I believe how things are, and everything's not going to always be teed up for you to just kind of like to segue right in. I had no clue I would be a starter at Penn State for 3 years, but it worked out because I kept busting my butt. So yes, it is a huge gamble to be able to do that. I could have easily went to Washington State and may have been a surefire fit, maybe even a little bit faster, but I wanted to go to a place where I really loved and really enjoyed, and also know that I come away with a good education and also have a better chance of getting to my ultimate goal, which was, the NFL. So that
Got
it.
Yeah. And at what point did you start thinking or feeling like the NFL was an option for you that when you were in high school? And if so, like what kind of brought that feeling on?
Yeah, no, not necessarily in high school. I would say it's a little dark here, huh?
It's all good. I can see you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say college was about when I started thinking about it. Of course, when you're in high school, you see those guys on TV and you go, oh man, it'd be so nice to get to the league. But, I didn't really want to overstep that boundary, knowing that, I had 4 years of college, to come, and which after was uncertain. So you never lose sight. I guess, let me stop there. I guess I would be lying if I said not in high school, because I used to have a lot of different cards on my wall with from different players, like Emmitt Smith, or even like a Desmond Clark. There's a big tight end that I really enjoyed. There was a couple of the other tight end, the Dallas tight end, I forgot his name, Kuzak or something like that. But I had these guys on my wall, and so it's like, okay, well, do what they're doing. Oh, they ran this 40. Okay, I can do that. Oh, they benched this much. Oh, I can do that, or better. And the ironic thing about all this is that a lot of these guys I end up meeting full circle at some point. So it was like a really cool thing to meet a lot of these guys that I admired when I was younger. To be like, you were on my wall. Some of those guys, I didn't let them know I was on their wall. They wanted to be creepy or anything, but
you used to sleep right next to me.
Yeah, but definitely, a eye-opener moment that I could be able to meet these guys.
And when you were like sort of, you had these idols or these people that you really respected and looked up to,
yeah.
Because like the people that I coach, whether it's like high performance business or life coaching, I'm always telling people like get either mentors or get people that you really look up to and model like what they've done. Like you were like, what's their bench? What's their 40 time? I can do this. Like, how did you pick, or maybe you didn't go out and pick them, but what resonated with you about those particular players?
Number one, that they were at the top of their game at their given time. I'll give an example, like Desmond Clark. I remember he went to Wake Forest, and he was just going into the draft, and it was like my junior, senior year. So I could almost visualize myself in his shoes because he was a high draft pick. And okay, well he did that. I know what I have to do in order to at least to be in the ballpark. Some of those other guys are already in the league. And, some guys are just there as inspiration, like an Emmitt Smith. I wasn't a running back, but the fact that Emmitt Smith was tearing it up for 5 consecutive years, like it was, he's doing something right. So you want to look at everything he does, regardless if we don't play the same position. But what it really came down to was just being able to measure and like you said, utilize and leverage any advisement and mentorship that you can from them. And in this case, it wasn't verbal because I didn't know them I didn't know them in person, but I studied everything like I did. And that's something that I took with me that really helped to be able to understand like how I could fit for eventually the next level, just understanding what was required. And as I said, just simple things, bench press, 40s, even their any of their scores. It really helped me to identify what they did so I can do it somewhat similar or better when I get to that particular mark. So,
Wow,
yeah, that's
really,
a lot of research, a lot of advisement and mentorship that you just encumber all in one. So.
yeah. No, that's really smart how you kind of went about that, maybe just organically. But so you're following these people, you're thinking about it in high school a little bit, but college is where you really start to think about going pro potentially. So tell us what it was like coming into Penn State. You're gonna be there for 4 years. You want to get started. You're starting to think about NFL. What was that whole program like? Whole experience?
So I never forget. I finished high school. A week later, I'm on a plane to Penn State. Oh man, I feel like life is good at this point. A new college student, college town, and away from parents and all that stuff. So you feel like you got like this whole new freedom. But I loved every bit of it. It started off very fast. I mean, out of the gate, college is very, especially at Penn State, is very structured, especially when you're an athlete at Penn State, when you're a football player at Penn State. I played under Joe Paterno, who was a very military-like background. He was very rigid in his ways. You had to be clean shaven. I couldn't have this today over there. I'd be clean shaven. You had to, if you were 10 minutes early, you were on time. If you're on time, you were late. And so
what happened if you were actually late?
Then you would not be in that meeting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was serious. And I've seen everything under the sun. Didn't matter who you were, from starter to bench warmer. You followed the same rules. So it was very hard and very structured. But the other side to it, if you just followed the rules, then you had no problems. So you learned all of these things super early, like your super wake-up call, and if you didn't, you would be running a heck of a lot, or you wouldn't be playing, or something that really hurts, you that you wouldn't want to do. But so to answer your question deeper, that's what my college is like. I mean, my experience was like. It was very structured in terms of going to class on time. We had class checkers. I don't know if you ever would ever think that somebody would actually make sure that you're in class. So we had class checkers, and if you missed a class, meaning that the person that was checking to see if you were in class, if you wasn't there, you would get in trouble.
But how do you balance, I don't know what Penn State's like, but I've seen Hard Knocks and behind the scenes of the NFL. You're probably practicing multiple hours a day, watching film, I'm assuming every day, at least a little bit. And how do you balance everything? Class, practice, wake up, all this stuff.
You just do it. I wish it was like a magic pill to say, but you just do it, and you have a little bit of help from at the end of the day, and with some structure. But you're up at 6 a.m. and some people have morning workouts. Then you go to class. You may got time for a quick 30-minute nap. Turn around, go to meetings, practice, dinner, study hall, go home by 10, do it again. And that's the cycle. And so you learn to adjust your body, you learn to adjust your mind, you learn to adjust, your whole to fit a structure that is as rapid pace and as full as it was. And so it's different from a regular college student scenario where you may even have time for other extracurriculars. There was no intramural times or, for intramural basketball, none of that, or, it was strict football, school, and then all the things that came with it. So, yeah.
Amazing. So at this point, you're at Penn State, you're in the program, you're playing tight end and you're a freshman?
So let's talk about that for a second. So I was recruited as a defensive end, and then I got moved to tight end. I'm sorry. I was recruited as a tight end, and then I got moved to defensive end.
Wow. Now I guess those are similar positions because you're across, but they're so different because like you're going from like trying to kill the quarterback to being a receiver.
Exactly. So the other good part to that is that I had played both, and I got recruited for both. So it wasn't foreign to me to play defensive end. So I ended up playing defensive end for 3 years, and I redshirted my first year. So that was kind of like the redshirt year means like that you practice and you go through those things so you don't play. So your first year, you actually have a little more time because you don't have to physically play in games and you practice just a little bit less. So I played defensive end, and then for 3 years had an outstanding, great time with that. And then I moved to tight end in my senior year, and that's where I ended up going to the league as a tight end in my senior year.
Wow. So you played 2 years on the field, you were starting the end, and then senior year they switched you to tight end?
Switched to tight end, but it was my coach, Joe Paterno, thought that I would have a better chance at making it to the league as a tight end. And also, I did it to help the team. We were depleted at tight end. We had a tight end or two go to the league the year before. There's only about one tight end left. And so I was very familiar with it, knew that I could change positions very quickly. And then I also had to believe in Coach Paterno that this decision would help me better my chances of making it to the league. So,
wow.
Yeah.
But you hadn't gone out for passes since what, high school?
I hadn't gone out for passes since high school, correct?
You're like, well, I got to catch the ball again.
I got to learn how to catch the ball now, and I had to speed that process up. Put 3.5 years worth of catching a ball into 1 year.
Wow. And what kind of tight end were you playing? Were you more of a blocker or going out or both?
I was for sure blocker first. Okay. First. And then, but I won some passes. I didn't have a ton of catches, but it was great. I still played a little bit of DN too, ironically, that same year.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was still fun. And but I had a couple of scores and some catches, so it was all great. And
that's awesome. And out of the 4 years, or I guess more importantly, the 3 years that you were playing and starting, which year, was there a best year in terms of Penn State's national performance?
Absolutely. 2002 was our best year we had. It was best year for everybody in terms. It was a big year. We were highly ranked that year. We had Larry Johnson, who went played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Who else? We had a guy named Lincoln Kennedy. I don't know if you follow a guy named Spice Adams. Ever heard of Spice Adams or Anthony Adams?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's also a big Instagrammer as well. But he was our deep tackle, so I played right next to him. We had a lot of guys come out. Michael Robinson. So we had a lot of guys come out for Robbie Gould. I don't know if you follow the Bears, but no, you're probably not being in New York. So a ton of guys came out that year, and that was our best year that we had. And so, and then we had some years that weren't so successful, but that's kind of the way it goes. And the program eventually rebuilt, and now they're on top of the world right now, minus our Ohio State loss on Saturday, which I'm still a little bitter about.
Tough loss, and at the end, you guys dominated, especially the first half.
Oh, I'm so bitter. I was there. I was there, and everything was electric. And I started to go sidetrack here, but it's important. Everything was electric. Everything was on point. And then we don't pull it out. Put it that way. So.
But hey, that must be fun to be a former starter, played in the league, come back, you get to watch the alum games. That's got to be a cool feeling.
Absolutely. No, it's the best show on earth. Better than any game, any other level. Penn State football, going back to your alma mater, it's always an honor.
Yeah. That's great. So you're senior. So talk to us a little bit about sort of being senior year, switch positions. You feel good and comfortable about it. Coach is looking at how can we get you to the league. What's scouting like? You're still going to class, I'm sure. How do you balance class with playing? And then what's like the pro recruiting process for the NFL?
So for me, actually, it worked out pretty good. I was graduating December of 2004, and then so I did not start preparing for the league until 2005. Yeah, it was January 2005. And so just as the season ends in about November, and then automatically agents start to come. You know, you get calls from agents, letters. It's like a recruiting process over again. So you're meeting with them. You're trying to find out the best scenario for you. What contacts do they have? Who do they know? Who do they have in the league already? Just all these things that wrap into one. So I ended up choosing my agent fairly early, just so I can get things going and know a direction. And then in January, I come back into State College and go to Penn State to train. A lot of guys may go to other places to train. I personally think it's stupid unless you're like for sure first rounder because you have to pay for it. So at your school, you normally don't have to pay for it. So I stayed in my school. We have a great training program. So I stayed in my school to train there. At this point, you were, again, just kind of like lights out, going kind of balls to the wall, so to speak, and just putting your best effort out there in training. For me, I wanted to go into this 4-month window knowing that I gave it everything I had. So I didn't do anything. I didn't have a drink. I didn't eat a slice of pizza. I didn't eat unhealthy at all. I didn't do anything that I thought that would hinder any chance mentally or physically from being able to perform the best that I could at the NFL Combine, at our combines.
Wow. And how did you maintain that like mental strength? Because I got people coming to me and saying, Brent, I can't make it to the gym today. And we know that everyone's stronger and more powerful than that. What did you do, or what was going on in your mind that gave you that laser focus?
Number one, I'll start by saying this. Everybody has the ability to be laser focused and to do whatever that you want if you put your mind to it. It sounds so cliche, but it is the honest truth. For me, I had to literally lock myself into a room for the most part. I moved off campus. Very little people knew where I lived. So there was no chance for say, hey, John, I'm coming over for a beer or whatever. There was not a chance because I didn't give anybody that option to do that. So I became really isolated. But this is all for the well-being of what I wanted to accomplish.
Right.
So, I really put a lot of focus into it. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of mental focus. Again, it's really hard for me to kind of break into how because I just feel like I just did it. But it was that important to me. What was the most important thing to me was that I wanted to make sure that if I did not make the league, I can say, you know, John, I could look myself in the face and say, I gave it everything I had. That was what was something that was my driver to be able to get to that point. So a lot of times people, you know, that you want to get to a certain point, but you got to be willing to do what it takes to get there. And that's a lot of sacrifice. I mean, you're thinking about this. I'm a college kid, #1 party school in the nation. There's, you know, bars and parties all around. There's pizza places on every block. So, and I mean, there's many of reasons why you could not do something. And so, but I wanted it so bad, at least for myself, to be able to say, hey, look, if I did not go down this route, I gave it everything I had to be able to make it happen. And that's what I feel 100% was confident on to get me through those times.
Amazing. That's just so motivating and inspiring to hear that. And so you train, getting ready for the combine, then what happens?
Yeah, well, let me say this. And usually, I think there's a saying, it's like 21 days to break a habit. So after the first couple of weeks, I was good. It was normal to me at that point. So it was normal to be able to eat everything healthy, normal to not do all these things. So anyway, so I'm training for the the combine day conference, and 25 to 30 scouts, almost every team in the league is here. And I had went down this trail before, meaning that I've already practiced what I was going to perform. So all I had to do was just do it one more time, and I did this time, right? So exactly what I did. I mean, I ran one of the best 40s of my life, caught every ball. I even played defense. I had some coaches want me to play defense, defensive end, and tight end, whatever they wanted. So at that point, it's just a waiting game. And then the draft comes around, April. You're sitting in front of two. Again, I was by myself.
Where did you watch the draft?
I was in Penn State in my little 400 square foot apartment. Watching it on the TV.
Yeah, and did you have any kind of projection of like what round?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be later. I knew it was going to be a tough uphill battle. I only played tight end for 1 year, and here am I trying to go to the league as a tight end, so I knew it was going to be an uphill battle. But I was hoping to get in around the sixth round. That was where I kept hearing things. So around that time, that's where calls started to come. Call from Green Bay and the Titans and Dallas and I think it was even New England at the time.
They're calling you?
Calling me, yes, or calling my agent.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think a couple of them was from my agent. Green Bay called me directly. Don't ask me how that happened, but they called me directly to tell me, and this is the frustrating part, this is the funny part, tell me, hey, we got a pick coming up. You're on our board, but we're not sure. So, like, they think you're telling they're going to pick you, but they're telling you that we want to make sure that you're alive and healthy and you want to come here. And we're like, yeah, of course. Like,
yeah, it's like a supermodel being like, hey, I want to go on a date with you. Yeah. Are you interested?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So those were the calls were like, and so every call was nerve-wracking. You're just like want to pull your hair out. And so lo and behold, they eventually took some other players, obviously, and then I am going free agent. But my type of free agent, I was what they call a priority free agent, which means that I basically agreed to the Arizona Cardinals before the draft was over.
So how do you get that kind of priority status if you don't get drafted?
It's just where they have you fall in your draft board. I mean, I was already floating around anywhere from 5 to 7 rounds. So they also understand too at this time that every other team is also looking for priority. So it's like literally a negotiation that happens in like, I swear, 3 minutes with what the dollar amount of the signing bonus is going to be. Where now the ball's in my court. So now I got 3 or 4 different options to team to go, which is crazy. That like just 10 minutes earlier the ball wasn't my court. Now the ball's in my court, and I have 3 options where I'm going to go. So all these things happen literally. Like you got to think fast.
Wow. So it was between who? Arizona,
Dallas, Houston Texans, and I think and Seattle. And it was very tempting to go to Seattle, but they had their tight ends unlocked, so there was no way I was going to do it. But it was very tempting to go to Seattle, potentially play in front of my home. But I went to Arizona because it was a no-brainer fit. They had a tight end that was retiring, had retired the year before, or just retiring. They had a couple of rookie tight ends, which I was confident that I could battle with. So they had a very depleted tight end core. So that's how I picked up there. I almost went to Houston, though, because their signing bonus was a little bit better. So I took less to go to Arizona, which ended up being a better fit because, obviously I ended up making a team in Arizona. Right. So that whole process, man, from my aspect, I mean, there's other players, and especially football, they'll give you a different aspect because they may higher draft picks or something else. But mine was I was always been in that bubble stage where there's the 5 to 7 range, and that time frame was it was really stressful. So, and then
you're waiting for one of 32 teams all across the country to be like, all right, you're moving here.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, actually now these 3 teams are calling me, and you get to pick.
Exactly.
or
And
5
then,
or 6 teams. Yeah.
so after that, they said, oh, great. Well, we got a ticket for you. Leaving in the morning. That night, I ended up going to my friend's place there, and I go, and they saw the draft, so they just assumed I didn't get drafted, and I would be sad. But I kind of was because I didn't get drafted. And then I go, yeah, but I'm going to Arizona. And they were like, and they started like cheering, like it was great. For me, it was like, okay, I get it. But, my goal was to get drafted. So, and that didn't happen. So now I had to take what I was handed there and take the next step and go to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I get to Arizona,
Yeah.
undrafted rookie free agent. And day one, I'm laser focused. And what that means is that I'm doing things that probably most others wouldn't do. I'm coming early, staying late, staying on my blocks longer, and I apologize to the starters, the starters later because I'm on a scout team at this point, meaning that like, I'm not trying to like hurt you or trying to prove a point to
Trying
you.
to make the team.
So,
Yeah.
So, if I'm a little more aggressive than maybe somebody else is, look, you already have your check. You're good. You're not going to get cut. I will. So I need to make sure that these coaches understand I know my stuff and all these things. So end up just really having a great preseason, special teams.
What's that process like? Because it's like a 53-man roster, but there's a lot more people there trying to make it, right?
Absolutely. It's not up to 9. Starts about 90, then it goes to 75, and it goes to 53.
Wow.
And there's really no time to even think about it. Like you're just hoping that the Grim Reaper doesn't knock on your door or pull your playbook and tell you to go talk to the coach. And so so every week you saw the locker room get smaller and smaller and smaller, and you're still there until that last day, right before they call Black Friday, I think, which is the Black Monday, which is the final cut day. And then you just literally go there and see these Grim Reapers coming and pulling people. It's literally like sad to see. I'm not even joking, because just like you seeing like just lives just like go out the door. And
did you have any good friends who were like, you're talking to them and then the assistant's like, hey, you need to go talk to coach, and you're like,
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's crazy about the league, sometimes so a lot of those people you may see once out of the past 10 years or whatever, but some of those guys you don't ever see again. Now Facebook, it's helped a little bit, but yeah, for the most part, it's a very cutthroat process. But I ended up being still there. And then about 3:00 came around, which was the time we had the squad meeting for the new team. I still was like, okay, all right. There's like a minute and 30 seconds. I'm going to get picked off in the hallway or something. Like, this is too good to be true. I'm looking at another guy who's a rookie. He's looking at me. We're looking at each other like, we're like, did we just make the team? Like, it was making the team. And we sat down in the chairs, and until he said, all right, guys, in this room is the guys we're going with. That was like the biggest sigh of relief. I was like, oh my gosh, he just made the freaking NFL football team a rookie year as a free agent.
Yeah.
And, so you talk about obtaining goals and being in a place where like you felt energized, and really a big turning point, for me in that.
Yeah. Go back to that. Try to really get back into that moment mentally, because everyone, I have one of those moments when I got my first Wall Street investment banking job. I know what I was wearing, what street I was on. What was good? Tell us of that experience. Where were you? What were you wearing? What was going through your mind?
Well, I was for sure. I was in the locker room for sure, and I was just in my practice clothes, because you're still going through everything as you're on the team. So you're not on the team until they pull you. So you're still going through everything. So I went through the system just as I would. I go to the cold bath, and then I go to the hot bath, go to the steam room or the sauna, get a little treatment, take my ankles, through the whole process. But I'm a lot more nervous at this point. So it's not like regular. It's like I'm glad they didn't take blood pressures at that point.
You're in this private club with all these sick features, and you're like,
Yeah.
Is this gonna last?
Is this gonna last? Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're just there as nervous as all heck. And you have the older veterans. They go on their day as normal because they know that they're good. The Larry Fitzgeralds. I play with guys like Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden and Edgerrin James, Kurt Warner, Matt Leinart,
Wow.
and Sherrill Roll. I mean, a lot of great players I've played with. So a lot of these guys, that were there, they know that they were good, so they don't have the anxiety like I do.
Right.
And some of the other rookies and people that are anticipating getting cut. So yeah, so you're just there. You're just trying to be as normal as possible in the moments, and just hope that you don't feel this person come over you and say, "Coach wants to see you." That's what you don't like. That's what you're hoping for. And so, I would say I'm glad I only had that moment once in my life, which was at the end of my short career. But not having it, it was such a great feeling to be able to be on the team as a rookie free agent. I mean, it's very tough. It is like 0.01% of rookie free agents to make the team. And for me to make that, and also another 2 tight ends, which is another great buddy of mine. We both were rookie free agents to make the team, which is like, it was such an honor, such a blessing. It was great, man.
That's awesome. And it wasn't, I mean, you talk about everyone's like, oh man, like 0.01%, so lucky, but I don't see any luck. Like you had the right mentality, attitude, approach. Like this, I'm loving this recording because when people listen to it, they're going to be able to take so much of what you've done and to apply that to their own life. Like you did it, you executed perfectly.
Yeah, no, there's no luck in this sort. Look, we all have a little bit of luck at something. I mean, for whatever, but it is grit, it's grind, it is, a lot of everything. Just like as being as a business owner, entrepreneurs, and we go through waves ups and downs. It was the same exact way going through this process. But at the end of the day, like I said, the number one thing was that I came away wanting to give everything I had, every single day, and that's how I live my day to day with. I mean, I say I give 100% to the day, and at the end of the day, whatever I'm doing, personally, if it's spending time with my friends, my girlfriend, if it's if it's business, I want to make sure that I gave 100% to that day, and that's how I live that part of my football career, both in every phase of it, to know that everything I did was 100%. I could live with that, but I can't live with myself if I gave 85% and then I'd be like, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I would have worked a little bit harder. I never want to be that person to feel that way. So if I lose and I gave 100%, okay, I can deal with that. But if I lose and I gave 85%, then I'm gonna be a little bit upset, about the situation.
Yeah, amazing. And what was it like? I want to also transition and move over to like the business and personal life stuff, but just kind of like final football question to sort of like summarize kind of the career and how it played out. But also, I'm curious, like, what was it like being on the field for like an NFL game? Because it's not like you played at a small college. I'm curious, like, how being on Penn State field compared to playing for the Cardinals. Like, I know you had that game against the Giants.
Yeah. So that's a great question, actually. So that part of it was almost like I had experience better being at Penn State. So I wasn't so ooh and awed by the crowds or whatever. I went to school. We had 110,000 people. So playing in front of 60 or 70 was like a piece of cake. So in that aspect, but it was the process in which things occurred. Which I had previously in college had been a little bit warmed up to, given the strict nature of our coach. So everything was regime. Everything was on you. That was a big difference. This football was a business. There was no assistants or anybody telling you where to go. It was a business. You show up here, you do it here. be here at this point just as any other business. And that's something that gets overlooked a lot. Like it's very structured. And so, but coming out of the tunnel for the first time, actually, in theory it was preseason, but my first regular season game, which is my first and last for that year, man, that was great. It was, we were playing the Giants. I swear to you, you don't even really know at this time, like, what you're up against. And like, so here we are playing the Giants and, going down a kickoff. I was on kickoff team. I'm going on a kickoff and I make first play, out the gate, bam, and so then same thing. They end up scoring, we end up scoring and go back and kick up again and make another play. So I'm really feeling good at this point. And then about third quarter, and then I started to get some time on offense, which was great. Like I was not expecting that because I was third tight end.
You're playing tight end as a rookie against the Giants first game.
Michael Strahan, and Kurt Warner in the backfield, like it's you could not get better. You could not get a better scenario. So yeah, man. So I had some good times blocking, blocking Michael Strahan, it'd be a Hall of Fame these days. Kurt Warner is the quarterback, behind us. And then on top of that, I also, which I did mention, I was actually playing fullback too in pre-camp because I was technically on the roster as a second-team fullback. So in case, and so I was also playing a little fullback too because fullback at times just kind of intermingles a little bit in some plays. Was
it hard to remember the plays knowing you got to be tight end and fullback potentially?
No, because everything was fairly new to me. So it was just like a clean slate.
Okay.
So I did, and that was probably a good part of not playing as much tight end in college is that everything was new. So everything I was taught was brand new. I made a team probably pure on ability and and having a motor to run through anything. That's how I made the team there. But I had to learn a lot in the league, which most players don't learn in the league. They already know, and then they just craft in their ability. But I was learning a whole position. I never played fullback in my life until Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
So yeah, man. So that game was great, and then third, I think it was middle third quarter, go down and kick off again, and I just level this guy, and I hyperextend what I thought at the time my knee. But then it didn't resurface, and I was like, crap. And then I went back out for a couple more plays, and I couldn't run, and that was it. And I went in IR the rest of the year. The worst part about all of that was that the fullback that was starting also tore his ACL the same game. Denny Green was our head coach. And he goes to me and he goes, "Hey, Bronson, how you feeling?" Of course I'm going to say, "I'm good." I'm not going to be like, "Oh, it hurts." I was like, "Oh, I'll be all right." He goes, "Well, good, because you're starting fullback next week." In my head, I knew I couldn't go. And I was like, oh, that was probably the most hurtful statement I could ever hear. Because it's knowing that I'm starting fullback and I can't go. And then, yeah. So
how did you deal with that mentally? Because, I mean, you worked so hard. You made it. You're right there. You're at the mountaintop.
Yeah.
How did you handle that?
It's tough at first. It really was. Especially – I probably could have lived without that last sentence if, not knowing that I was going to start the next week. Knowing that, as you just said, I made it there. Not only did I make it there on the team, I'm about to start. I played my first game as a rookie free agent. I'm about to start my second game as a rookie free agent. And I get excited, so I start hitting stuff.
No, I love it.
Okay, and you just a little bit. You don't have a lot of time. Rehab is out of the gate, and you're just trying to heal as fast as possible. But it definitely was a little bit. I'd be lying if I wouldn't say it was a little bit depressing, to not be on the field, especially given the scenario where I was. But I did everything I could, just continue to rehab and get back. And given the nature of my injury, it was very long. So I ended up going on IR after a few weeks. Injured reserve means that at the time, it's different these days. At the time when you go on injured reserve, you don't play the rest of the year. And so, which was ended up a good thing because I wouldn't be able to come back the entire year anyway. So, yeah, it's definitely tough, but it's just when you're in those scenarios, you just really got to think about the next phase. Think about the positive. Think about like, all right, in this case now it's rehab, making the rehab the best thing possible, making the best out of it. Because if I went to a phase and I decided to woe is me, then it's just not going to make it any better. So I gave it everything I had in rehab. I was still in meetings, learning plays, even though I wasn't going to play. But I was on a mission to be able to come back, stronger, better and stronger, the next year. So
that's an awesome attitude. I mean, it's all you can do. Look forward. How do I deal with this? Yeah. Move ahead. And so then you were there for 2 more years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There were 2 more years. I was often up and down my second year. Once you go through an injury, that was the first major injury I had. But once you go through an injury like that, it takes a while to recover. And so I recovered from the injury per se, but my body, my knee, had not caught up to like a speed or how it was. So I was still a little step behind, and and it cost me a couple of down weeks, which mean I was on practice squad, things like that. But so I went up, kept going active to practice squad, but I still had was able to get my year in, and also had a great experience playing, and still played special teams and things like that. I didn't play as much tight end. I ended up playing more fullback in my second year. And that's when Edgerrin James came. I changed my number to 39 because he thought it would be better if I had 39 because I remind him of Larry Zonka.
Nice.
I said, well, great. I changed the compliment, and yeah, want me to change to 39? He's like, I don't want to look at 85, like, because I'm playing fullback, and fullback's right in front of the running back.
Yeah.
But 39 will look good on you. So it's like, and he was my locker mate, Edgerrin James. And so it's like, all right, well, sure, I'll change to 39. And if that makes you feel better, makes you get a couple more yards, I'll change to 39. So I ended up playing fullback. Thing about fullback, it's not a very glamorous position. So you don't really get a lot of stats. You just hit a lot of people. So, but it was a lot of fun, fullback, and played a lot of special teams. And then went to my third year, and I just played a few games, and then eventually, getting released. And that's another learning lesson as well. Is that things sometimes transition, so you just gotta have to adjust. And that was a big transition for me because it was the first time that I was actually gonna really be a real adult. I was in what you can say fantasy world. I went from $15 as a college student to to a nice sizable Wall Street a check. And then all of a sudden you get a situation where you're just done with football. At least for that moment I was. And so that's where I really went into it. But what I had done previously, which is just in my nature, was I really started to study a lot of things of what to do outside of football. So I was studying a lot of, reading a lot of different books, and meeting with a lot of different mentors and people, advisors, business owners in the Phoenix area who had ran successful businesses, and just picking their brains, even though I didn't know what I wanted to do at that time. But what it allowed me was a system and a network to be able to go to and just learn from until I kind of figure it out or found out exactly, when I was going to be back playing football. So ultimately, I didn't make it back in the league as fast and had a chance after, but I declined that because I was already kind of removed from months removed from it, and it's a lot of work to kind of get back up. So I decided to continue my path as a new entrepreneur and just what they say, kind of go to the next phase of life. And so eventually went through that and started in real estate as an investor and made some moves there, and that's kind of been a base basically for my entire adult life. And then started a network and marketing companies to assist with small businesses and athletes that were looking to market their business. So, the moral to the story is that this adjustment of going from football to the real world is like, it's a huge adjustment. And so for athletes, it's really tough because and two reasons. Number one, you go into a scenario where you have been in a system for so long. In my case, it was, just shy of 3 years, right? And then, but in some cases, it may be 10 years or 5 years. And then now you have to adjust into a system a society that everybody is accustomed to, business and also personally, which is a lot different from the football world. And so it's a really tough battle that you have to find yourself and overcome out of as fast as possible, so you don't kind of like spiral and go into like anything, a stress, whether it's mental stress or personal stress or even financial stress for a lot of guys. And but I was able, a lot of great help. I had a time I was married, and she was a great resource for me to keep things aligned. So I was married, and then she, God rest her soul, she passed away like a couple of years ago from cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
Thanks. And so, but she was literally a backbone for that particular time frame for me to keep things aligned. And so, in theory, she was like a mentor, an advisor in that aspect. So that really helped me to stay on par.
It sounds like at each stage you leverage resources to support you. So whether you were with your family when you're in 7th grade saying, hey, get your grades up, or coaching staff or friends at school, your late wife, the networking that you did, like that's just so smart that you knew that all great things require other people, in my opinion. Absolutely. How are you able to recognize that and say, hey, I'm going to go get help, even though you don't really need help, you're at such a high level, but it'll push me even further up?
Well, I just realized that, one, I didn't know everything. So the only way to really find the answers is to talk to people who had doing it or had done it. I mean, whatever that, how to take that or what, and like who knew more than I did. So if I wanted to learn about financials, which I really did a lot, I talked to a very good CPA, and that is ironically has been my CPA for years now, about what do I need to do to keep a good financial plan, right? And so, or if it's about real estate, talk to people that have done it effectively about that, or marketing, all the same things. So I think a lot of times, and us especially as business owners on a whole, sometimes we feel like that we can't take it like it's like a taboo or whatever. I don't like to take advice from other people, other mentors. Like, no, that's a smart thing to do. I'm always the first to say I don't know everything, and most people, I'm usually the dumbest person in the room, and I have no problem saying that as far as information is concerned. But when it comes to maybe a process or streamlining things, that's basically what you're saying, I think I'm pretty effective in that aspect, and know to ask, to have the right network, and know to ask the right people the right questions there. So I think just through all of that, a lot of those things will kind of shine in your personality too. So I wasn't afraid to ask questions, and also I wasn't too big for the platform. And as players, football players, a lot of times, and this is a huge problem, a lot of times football players can get really, what was the term? Bigger than your britches, I think that's what he say. Meaning that like, oh, like everybody should come to them. I wasn't like that. I was the person that also went to the other person, especially if they were a non-sport related person that could help me into, my interest in a business or something like that. So a lot of it has to do with personality. And so once you are acceptive and people will feel that and they'll want to connect with you. So I can't even say that like everything, like I just like went to his Rolodex and started just calling people. That's not how it worked. It literally, some of it just happened just from, connection feeling, because they understood that I was open, even though I was a football player and I'm open. I don't know everything, and also I'm willing. And they also know that they have a lot of information. So it's a mutual benefit. And I just think being open and being willing to be a part of other people will help get what you want as well. And that's what I try to do along the way on mostly anything that I'm involved in.
That's great. That's amazing. Yeah. And so what do you spend your time doing today? What's your core sort of business focus now?
Yeah. So up until so let me give you this quick.
Oh, you bridge the gap. Yeah.
A quick roundabout. So I had been marketing, John Bronson Marketing, and still marketing company. We're just kind of some creative projects here and there. I really just condensed that as of about 3 weeks ago, because I've been working on this big project, and I have to send you some of these. It's that I invested in, called finger-licking Dutch stroopwafels. And there's these stroopwafels. Ever had a stroopwafel?
What's it called?
A stroopwafel. It's a caramel cookie with it's a wafer cookie with caramel inside.
I haven't had it, but it sounds amazing.
It is amazing. So I have to get you some. So my girlfriend now she's super great, and she's wonderful, and she's from the Netherlands, and been my biggest supporter for everything. Started that way, but she came up with this idea to bring these things over to America. After you have one, you'll go, okay, that makes absolute sense. So over about a year or so ago, we started the process, and now next week or a week and a half, we have a whole import coming of the stroopwafels to distribute nationally. So my focus right now is my newest project is finger-licking Dutch stroopwafels, but I still have clients in the creative marketing space that we still service very heavily, and that been with me for a while. But I've condensed a lot. Haven't taken on any new clients and just focused on finger-licking Dutch stroopwafels. So.
Man, your Wikipedia page is going to read John Bronson, formerly known as the Penn State and Arizona Cardinals football player, but most notable for bringing the Dutch treat stroopwafels to America in an epidemic where it's the #1 snack in the country.
Yeah. Oh man, like we're so excited right now by it, and it's such a great snack. And I kid you not, like when you try it, you'll be calling me for more. And so I'm excited to get out there. I love being in front of people, and so I spent a few years, just in the past few years, kind of just like under the radar, so to speak, behind a computer or so to speak. But I love to get out there, and so we have these stroopwafels coming in that will really be a good hit. So yeah, man. So that's my new project. It's gonna be fun, and I'm really excited about it.
It sounds amazing. I'd love to try them. I have to admit, I pulled up some pictures here, and they look delicious. And
yeah. No,
it really reminds me of when I was in college. I did one semester in Barcelona, Spain.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole semester just seeing all these like foods and ideas, and I was like, these all could be taken to America, and you can make so much money doing this stuff here.
Yeah. What really set it off the top for me was that my girlfriend's Dutch. So when we go to the Netherlands, at least 2 or 3 times a year. And so it's like when something is also still so powerful in their own country, and you realize that it's not in the country that you live in, you're like, this is this doesn't make any sense. Like, there's still lines. This thing's been in the Netherlands for 50 or 60, 70, 100 years.
Yeah.
And there's sprinkles in the United States, and it's selling like crazy. Why is it not here? So, yeah, it worked out. We're super excited to be able to bring them over, and the real Dutch stroopwafels. That's the thing. That's where we're focused on, bringing the real Dutch stroopwafels to America, and that's what we're set off to do.
I love it. That's awesome. And so, as we were just talking about, I think before we started the show, you said you really love to travel, based on your upbringing.
Love to travel. Love to travel. So, I mean, travel is our number one focus. My girlfriend loves to travel too, so it works out for both of us. And yeah, man, we've been a lot of, just like yourself, a lot of amazing places. Just two of us, a lot of places in Europe these days, because we're always that way. But basically everywhere in Italy. I mean, Venice is interesting place in Venice. Milan, Rome was very interesting. I mean, what's one missing? Pisa, Bologna. I think that's
I think Bologna makes bologna, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Italy, Belgium is also very nice. I
love Belgium, and when you start to talk about waffles, it started to make me think about Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium. Obviously, the Netherlands. Been to every place on the Netherlands. About. If you've ever been to Netherlands, other than Amsterdam, most people just go to Amsterdam. If you ever go to Netherlands, you have to go to a place called Kinderdijk. You have to go to a place called Rotterdam, Den Haag. There's so many little cities in the Netherlands other than Amsterdam that you would have a ton of a blast at. And so, yeah, just everywhere, man. A lot of time in the Caribbean. I spend half of my time in the Caribbean in Curaçao, which is right next to Aruba.
That's where they make that drink, blue Curacao, right?
Yeah, exactly. They make big Curacao there. I spend half my time in Curacao, and then the other half, like right now, I'm in Philadelphia. And so, again, love to travel. We integrate that with our workload, and it's a part of it. So it's not like, oh, we work to travel. We travel, and our business is like all in one. It's like part of it. So, and that's how we like to move forward and to make it happen, to allow us to travel and work at the same time. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Living the dream.
Man, just trying to be like you.
remote travel, passive income. I really appreciate that. And before we wrap up and do some link sharing and wherever can find you online, how would you kind of summarize, like, if you could give our listeners one piece of advice? You've played elite football at many different levels. You've battled adversity, not getting drafted, losing a loved one, like, and I see you're just so optimistic, positive thinking, strong. Like, how could you share some of this with our listeners to help them get motivated to maybe take action in their life?
I would say, number one, it's important to understand that we all only have one life to live, right? So, YOLO, you only live once, right? So if you start there and understand that, then, like, don't take that for granted. It'll help you automatically to want to one, do what you want to do, or do what you have to do what you want to do. And then also do those things as 100%, or the best way you can. And so it's very little steps to really be able to do things that will get you to reach and obtain the goals that you want. Things in life are going to happen. As you alluded to, I mean, I've came across everything, being released, death, and even failed businesses at some point in time, which you kind of skipped over a little, but I mean, every entrepreneur has those. And not throwing in the towel, like knowing that you just kind of brush it off and you keep going, is important. I mean, the minute that you throw in the towel, meaning that you just give up, that's the minute that you are conquered. So for me, it was really important, and it's bigger than me. It's that I feel that I have people around me, whether it's my team in business, whether it's my siblings, whether it's my girlfriend, or at the time who was my wife, in the past. I felt I have an obligation to others. So when you can put yourself and feel that you have an obligation also to others to be better, or it can be a charity, it doesn't have to be that close, but just something greater than you. Feel you have something greater than you that you need to really move forward with. I think it'll help to be able to press forward. Does that make any sense? Like, it's, sometimes we get stuck in our, it's just about me type of scenario, but it really isn't. It's about the people that or things you want to support around you. And once we can really identify those things that are important to you, it will help really to give you the motivation to want to do better. And that's how it is. So, and I'll leave with this for right now. Like, if you'd ask me what are the things that like motivates me, like, one, it's my team. My team works extremely hard, to help me, everybody, my IT people, my assistant, they all work hard. So I feel like I'm obligated to also give my best effort to them. My girlfriend, she's great. She helps me, and as personally as possible with anything that's not, and now even business related. So she's in the waffles business, that I can to help me be better. Whether it's my friends or my family, they all play a role in supporting and have supported, especially through and having to lose a loved one. So all those people, I feel that I'm obligated to give my best effort with in everything I do, and that'll also help you, or help you motivate yourself to want to give more to your surroundings.
That's amazing. I mean, that's just so powerful. And, kind of when you have a mission that's bigger than just yourself, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly right.
And,
and so, today, I am laser focused and live your best life, give 100% to the day, and let everything else just flow into place. And you do that, you find more happiness, you find more. I also feel more good things come your way when you are into something bigger than yourself, and you give more, and also you just you feel better. You feel better for it. So yeah.
I love it. Words of wisdom from former NFL player and waffle mogul to be, John Bronson. John, thank you so much again for coming on the show. It's been great getting to know you, being in touch through my Instagram program over the past year. Where can people find you to either follow you online, learn more, and obviously get the updates on the Stroop Waffles?
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me say this, and I definitely appreciate your Instagram program. It's been very impactful for actually not just one business, but two now. Don't charge me double though now.
Buy one, get one free, man.
But no, it's been very impactful, and so we've learned a lot, and to be able to scale and to really integrate into our marketing plan. So I really appreciate you for that. So yeah, Instagram, we're very active. Me personally, actually, I'm moving over. It's John Bronson 87. And that's my personal one. So I'm giving my personal one. I'm moving over to my personal. It's more active, more fun. And then also, if you want to follow the Stroop Waffles on Instagram, you can go to fingerlickingdutch.com, at fingerlickingdutch.com. And you can follow us there. We have a lot of great announcements, a lot of great photos for you. That should probably do it. I think it'll navigate from there, everything else, right?
Yeah. You get the link in bio. I'm going to put that all in the show notes for the listeners. So if you want to see more about John's personal account, at John Bronson 87. I love the pictures from Penn State. Sorry again about the loss. I know you guys will get the Buckeyes next time.
Yeah, I'm still a little pissed off about that one, but
hey man, I really want to just, again, thank you for coming on the show, not only for inspiring me, because this is one of those episodes that I go back and I'm going to listen to when I'm in the gym next, but for the listeners out there as well. So thanks again, John, for coming on the show.
Hey, Brendan, thanks for having me.